The 2022 NBA playoffs are finally here, and it is most certainly looking like this is gonna be one of the best postseasons the NBA has had in a while, with all of the uncertainty on who is actually the best team in the NBA right now, as the NBA championship can seriously be anybody's to win this year. The Toronto Raptors are set to take on the Philadelphia 76ers on Saturday evening, as this is a rematch between the two clubs, being the first time the two squared off against each other since Kawhi hit the shot that is still in the nightmares of most Philly fans to this day, as the potential of them going on a similar playoff run after defeating Toronto in that series is something that is questioned to this day. Both teams have kept some core pieces since that series went down, and similarly, both teams have lost some key pieces as well. However, this is a series that in my opinion is not going to disappoint any casual fan looking for a good matchup, and it is going to be eerily frustrating for both 76ers fans and Raptors fans, as I truly believe that this can once again go down to the wire and finish in style in 7 games, just like the last time they played each other. It probably won't top the picture-perfect ending that occurred last time, as that is up there being one of the most clutch shots in NBA history, but this time around, the Sixers are looking to change the narrative and try to send the Raptors players and fans home in tears. Before we begin, let me know down below in the comments who you think is going to take home this series between the Toronto Raptors and the Philadelphia 76ers and why. So looking at the two rosters, it's no question that the 76ers have the two best players in this series in Embiid and Harden, being two bona fide superstars, but don't let this get to your head all too much, as Toronto has proven to be one of the most annoying teams to go up against, as they have incredible amounts of length on defense, which has been a problem for Harden all year long, and Siakam is also playing at an all-NBA level to finish off this season. The Toronto Raptors are going to need to get creative guarding Embiid this series to try and make him uncomfortable, as they don't have a true defensive big to match up with the potential MVP this year, or the luxury of having a former defensive player of the year in Marc Gasol the last time they played. But this is something that I'm rather confident in Nick Nurse and the Raptors coaching staff to at least put something together, as they've proven to be game plan gods every single time Nick Nurse has been in the playoffs. It's only been 2 seasons with Nurse in the playoffs, one of which they did win the championship, where they beat the Sixers, went down 2-0 to the Bucks, then switched Kawhi to shadow Giannis all game, then won 4 straight, and then of course the infamous box and 1 zone to defeat Curry and the Warriors for the chip. And even the year after that in the bubble, teams, and specifically Jason Tatum, came out and stated that the Toronto Raptors were the hardest playoff series he's ever had to play in, with the game plan drawn up against it. The Raptors have another massive test in front of them with Embiid, and it could very well be the thing that decides the series between the two, being that if they are able to shut him down or at least slow him down, this creates a great chance for the Raptors to come out with the series. But if Embiid is able to dominate like he has all season, then well, you get the point. The Raptors trying to pull out wins, with Embiid dropping 40 on us easily every single game, it's most likely going to go in favor of Philly. The next massive headline is the fact that Matisse Thybulle can't play in Toronto because he only has 1 dose of the vaccine, and honestly, there are 2 groups of people in reaction to this, as some people don't think it's a big deal, and there's others like myself who believe it's going to be a crucial loss for Philadelphia. Thybulle is the Sixers' best perimeter defender, and he has the potential to win Defensive Player of the Year awards in his future, and he actually played an extremely large role on the Sixers this season. He started in 50 of the 66 games he played in, and is the Sixers' best defender, especially in the playoffs when the game slows down, and a player like this is often what can make or break a series, as defense becomes so crucial to playoff success. He's 6'5" with a 6'11" wingspan, and he's one of the most versatile defenders in the conference, being that he leads the entire NBA in deflections per 36 minutes, while also managing to average an absurd 2.5 steals and 1.5 blocks per 36 minutes as well. The player who will benefit the most from this on the Raptors, being that Thybulle is already set to miss game 3 and 4 in Canada, is Gary Trent Jr., as he went 8 for 37 in the last 2 games against the Sixers with Thybulle guarding him, and then without Thybulle guarding him, he managed to score 30 points on solid efficiency numbers. So definitely look out for this, as if the Raptors manage to at least steal 1 game in Philly in game 1 or 2, heading back to Toronto, the momentum should definitely be in their favor. Siakam and Van Vliet, being the leaders on this team with the most playoff experience by far, are the keys to the Raptors' success, being specifically because this team is incredibly young, and the experience that almost every 76er player has over Toronto, except these 2, is by a wide margin. Siakam is going to need to continue his all-NBA level of play if the Raptors want a shot at knocking the Sixers off, and fortunately enough, Siakam has loved to play against the Sixers this season, as he's played well in all 3 games against them, taking advantage of their lack of athleticism defensively, and especially when Embiid Embiid has been able to guard him, he's gotten his way getting by him. And what would be a hugely added boost would be if VanVleet can return to his All-NBA play that we saw for the first 4 months of the season that unfortunately dropped off ever since he's been battling an injury, but he has been resting over the last week, so that is an extremely bright sign, and he is also expected to play in Game 1. As for the rest of the Raptors starters, OG has the most experience, having multiple playoff appearances under Dwayne Casey, but other than that, Barnes is obviously a rookie, so he has none, and Gary Trent Jr. has played in just 5 games with the Trailblazers, so their impacts on the game are very much in question, as we have no idea what level they're going to play at in the playoffs. I think it's honestly going to take time for Trent Jr. to settle in and heat up, especially with the Thibault situation, so look for him to start taking off in Game 3 or 4, but I honestly think Scottie Barnes is going to have a great series and continue to push the narrative on why he deserves to be the Rookie of the Year this year, as his game right now revolves less around him creating shots for himself, and instead he uses his high IQ and athleticism to get easy looks by making smart cuts to the rim. And honestly, what I would love to see, especially to give him great playoff experience, would be to give him the reins to be the main defender on Harden. And with that being said, the last key to the series is obviously going to rely on the performance of James Harden and Tyrese Maxey, but most notably James Harden. Harden has been playing awfully, scoring the ball in his last 6 games, as he's averaged just 16 points, 6 rebounds, albeit he does have a very positive 12 assists a game, in which his playmaking will always be there for the Sixers no matter how he shoots the ball, but he did shoot a terrible 34% from the field and 26% from 3 in those last 6 games, which definitely needs to change in this series if the 76ers want to win. Unfortunately for Harden, with all 5 starters on the Raptors being pests on defense, with their incredible length that they possess throughout this lineup, it's not going to make life any easier for Harden at the moment. In terms of perimeter defense, obviously the area we see Harden in for the majority of games, Toronto has one of the best group of players from that regards, as 1 through 5 on their lineup can make the switch on Harden when need be off screens and post a valuable effort to make the shot as tough as possible for him. Most notably, Harden has also struggled all season long against the length of the Raptors, as in 3 games with Philly and Brooklyn this season, he's shot just 40% from the field and 22% from 3, so do not be shocked if the Raptors continue to make things extremely difficult for the former MVP. There are a lot of questions that are soon going to be answered about this series that I just went over, but I have a couple more that any viewer of this series should keep an eye out for, and that's if the Sixers can slow down the Toronto Raptors on the offensive glass, as they ranked 2nd all season long in the NBA from that regard, and this is something that already played a huge role in one of the wins the Raps had over Philly this year, resulting in the Raptors taking a whopping 20 more shots than them in that game. How the 76ers are going to play the Raptors defensively in this one is another question to try and force guys other than Siakam and VanVleet to beat them, as I honestly feel like just as Embiid has a mismatch offensively being so dominant, Siakam has the same, with no one being able to keep up with how quick he is in the post. And then lastly, how much of a role the 2 bench units are going to play in the series, so don't be shy dropping your takes down below, as I love the conversations you guys start in the comments, as I do try to reply to everybody. With that being said, I hope you guys like this video. If I had to pick who I think is going to win this series, I honestly am going to be a little biased, being that I am a Raptors fan, but I did try to keep the analysis as neutral as possible for you guys to give an approach that saw things from both sides of the spectrum, and I'm gonna take the Raptors in 7 games, but once again, take that with a grain of salt because I do love the Raptors. Make sure to leave a like and comment who you guys think is gonna win down below, and also make sure you all have a great night.